Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Live from the Pink Couch. I'm Cheryl Grace, and I am not on the pink couch. I am once again sequestered away from the couch for this week for the session. However, that does not mean that we are not enthusiastic about being here, right, tribe?
Right.
Woo! Woo-hoo. Okay. So, if you're joining us for the first time, Live from the Pink Couch is a web series that we produce, and we help four wonderful professionals who are at different stages of their lives as it relates to their career. And what we do is we help them bring their goals, which we call pink elephants. And pink elephants are your biggest, most audacious goal that you have to lean into, have to have a little bit of faith, and ask for help in order to execute. And that's why we're here. Each session, I provide insights and information and counseling and advice, and sometimes just like helps and hugs. Because when you're searching for a job, you need the helps and hugs as well. And we also invite guest hosts to come on with us to coach the individuals on their respective quests. Now, the beauty of this show is when you achieve your goal, you get booted off of the couch. You get booted out of the tribe. And this is one of the rare organizations where it's a good thing that you get kicked out of. So we have people like in my family taking bets on who's going to get kicked off and out of the tribe first. Now, I'm not going to tell you where they're putting their bets, but y'all, bets are being placed. And I was sharing this one of the episodes with one of my team members, and she was like, this is so exciting. It's like you get to choose who you think and you're rooting for them. It's almost like there's a race. So what we really want to make sure you do is that you are achieving the goal that is important to you and that you're putting your all into it. So is everybody game?
Everybody's game.
Yep. Everybody's game. All right. All right. So let me introduce you to who we have. We have Lynn, who is the hopeful. Now, the hopeful, hello, Lynn. The hopeful is someone who has been laid off or has been downsized or fired or something just happened and they've been separated from their role. And that's Lynn. Lynn has 14 years of experience in the government sector, and she was displaced in 2021. She is seeking corporate stability in a C-suite position, earning a $200,000 salary. So meet Lynn, the hopeful. Now, I'm also going to tell you what Lynn's pink elephant goal is. And again, the pink elephant goal is that big audacious goal that she's going after. So Lynn wants to earn $200,000 as a VP of compensation and benefits for a healthcare or cannabis company located in the Pacific Northwest or coastal area. Lynn, I had somebody say to me, she is very, very specific. Yes. That's what it takes to get what you want. You got to know where you're going. You can't kind of meander around your goals. It's like meandering around from one state to the other, not knowing where you're trying to get to. Know where you want to be. So her homework assignment for the last time that we were here was to be prepared to give an update about your informational interviews and share if those professionals gave you at least 3 recommendations and were willing to make an introduction. She also was asked to see if anybody would review your resume, or you were going to take a look at your resume to see if you have any transferable skills or knowledge of the industry. And lastly, we talked about you had 6 interviews the last session within the last 10 days. And I suggested setting up a mock interview. I'm wondering if you had an opportunity to do that or not, if we need to set one up for you, where we're going. But Lynn, talk to me about how you doing, girl.
How am I doing? Well, for starters, I've had my informational interviews or informational discussions. Out of those 3, 2 were willing to do introductions to 2 people.
Woo! So, okay, yes.
Taking things to the next step. One of them actually referred me for a position that was open here in Michigan. It's not coastal or Pacific Northwest, but it was a VP role in compensation and benefits for a cannabis company, which would get me into that was open. So they made the referral and I've submitted my paperwork, the cover letter, the resume. Before I did that, I have a friend who is a former HR VP for a Fortune 500 company. I had him review my resume. He had me change the format from a chronological to a skills-based so that it was more of a transferable for the HR related. And I did that. So hopefully I have done the tweaking. I have not done the mock interview, but he has also agreed to set up the mock interview with me. He lives on the other side of Michigan, so I'm meeting with him this weekend, and he's going to do the mock interview with me. Again, because of his many years of experience at that level, I think that's a good way to go. So it gives me the opportunity to meet with somebody that has been at that C-suite level in a Fortune 5 company that I can take it to, that even though we're friends, I know he will be brutally honest with me, which is great. And I'm really looking forward to it. I do have actually a preliminary 30-minute Zoom interview with a tech company tomorrow. Kind of out of everything that I was looking at, but it's another direction. They actually reached out to me. So I'm not taking anything off the table.
I love it, Lynn. Look at you. You have been one busy bee. Congratulations on going through and accomplishing everything on your homework list and putting yourself out there. So let's unpack some of this, right? So first of all, let's unpack the fact that you have been given an opportunity to interview for a job that meets all of your criteria, except it's not in the Pacific Northwest or a coastal town. So for anybody out there who has a checklist of things that they want to achieve from a goal, professional goal perspective, and you get almost everything, what do you do if you don't get 100%? That's totally up to what's most important to you. So Lynn, this checks off all the boxes. VP, check. Cannabis company, check, check. We're going to assume that the salary is right up there with your request as well. Check, check, check.
Yep.
It's just not geographically located where you want to be. So tell us, how important is geography? And it may be important to you for one reason, and maybe someone else, it may have a different layer of importance. So let's say you had aging parents and they were in the Pacific Northwest and you wanted to be close to them because, well, you know, time's not on our side. So maybe that would weigh higher than someone who just wanted to be by the water. So talk me through this decision-making process for you.
The location it's not 100% perfect, but it's not 100% negative. I want to be near the water. This position is less than a 50-mile drive to the Lake Michigan coast.
Okay. Okay. So you're about an hour away from the water.
And I could live on the Lake Michigan coast if I could find something affordable, or I could just commute to the Michigan coast when it's, you know, warm weather. Yeah. So I'd still be able to have my beaches during the summer, do the water sports, things like that. It would get me to the level at the kind of company that I want, get me the experience, and then, you know, 5 to 10 years down the road, potentially move to the Pacific Northwest, California, that area, to one of those companies in those areas, and a lateral move or even an upward move to the ideal location.
All right. So what I hear you saying is it's not a deal breaker for you not being
No.
close to the water right now.
Right.
All right, great. So ladies, those of you who are here and those of you who are trying to find what you want and you have very specific desires, knowing going in what your deal breakers are is really very important. And only you can define your deal breakers. That's a Cheryl's Pink Couch tip, right? Know what your deal breakers are going into a situation so that you have prioritized what's most important to you. And if any of that is open for negotiation, then that's where your negotiation tactics will kick in. So Lynn, if for some reason you discovered that the company that you're interviewing with does indeed have a coastal location, then one of the things that you could interview with, and it's worth asking, right? One of the things you could actually negotiate is whether or not it's possible for you to relocate now, 6 months, a year, to that coastal office, right?
I hadn't thought about that. That's a great point. I will definitely research that. And when the offer comes in, make sure that that is part of the negotiations. Notice I said when, not if.
And you know what? I was just going to say that. I was just going to say, did y'all hear what she said? She said, when the offer comes in, she will negotiate, the location. So definitely go online, check out their website. I know you're going to do that anyway to make sure that you're ready for the interview, but make sure that you check out where they have offices located. Now, you said something else that I want to kind of unpack a little bit. You said, so maybe 5-10 years down the road, you could move to another company. Tell me why you're forecasting that long out.
Because I don't like to consider myself a job hopper, moving every 2 years. So I would want to put 5 years into a company to make sure that, to me, that's a reasonable time, at least, working for an employer and making sure that we've both gotten a good return on our investment. I've invested my time in them and they've invested their time in me.
So I hear you, but I also know times are changing. And with millennials in this workplace, this workforce, they are not staying 5 to 10 years waiting for their next break. They're not. And companies aren't necessarily holding it against them. Now, I'm not telling you to go jump ship before you even get the job. I am telling you, however, that what I've seen in the course of doing this web series is that there have been people who have accepted a job that they were happy with. Don't get me wrong, they were happy with it. 8 months later, they got a better offer someplace else and they took the offer because it was closer aligned to what they wanted. And once they even took that offer, they were given a promotion. So I'm referring to Rebecca Roussel. Shout out to Rebecca, who made 3 job changes in, I think, a year or a year and a half. And it doesn't have the same negative impact that I think when I was starting out that it would have, because for me back then, I was every 4 years, I need to be either moving up or out. And if you couldn't promote me at the company or organization where I was, then I literally very strategically left the company. So for me, I set a definitive period of time as to when I wanted to be promoted for each role that I accepted. And that worked really well for my career. So I just want to kind of put that out there for you to consider.
Okay.
that, you know, I hear you, and loyalty means a lot. It means a lot, but don't be loyal to the detriment of your career or following your dreams if it can get you closer faster.
I appreciate that, and I will definitely keep it in mind.
It's just a thought, just a thought. Just keep it in mind. What questions do you have, and how comfortable are you with your upcoming interview, mock interview?
Honestly, I've been so used to a government style interview where you have an entire panel of interviewers. I don't really know what to expect in a non-government. I mean, are interviews conducted in the private sector by a panel? Is it one or two people? Is it one person? Is it multiple people in individual interviews? What can I really expect?
So have you, you've had some interviews though, right?
I have, but they've also been panel interviews, and I don't know whether that is really the norm or whether that's because most of my interviews have been Michigan and it's all, we're not really so much a right to work state. We're still pretty much kind of a public everything state here.
Okay. So I think it varies. And Tiffany, you can hop in if you want. I think it varies. I've seen group interviews, but usually, you know, again, as you climb up the ladder, and you generally start with a hiring manager or whoever the recruiter is. You start there. And then sometimes they will have you talk directly to the direct hiring manager. And if that hiring manager likes you, then they'll have you perhaps talk to people on the team. And then they'll probably have you talk to people. I've been through this. They'll have you talk to people that you would be on equal footing with. So it varies across the board. Tiffany, is there anything you want to add?
I totally agree. I definitely think you'll probably interview with at least one of your peers and someone from HR. So like another VP. And it could be like maybe a more senior VP, like someone who's been in the role at your company, at the potential company a little bit longer. But they'll probably do a panel interview, like maybe 2 or 3 people, maybe a couple of other VPs. Before they move you along to maybe like an executive vice president, or if there's a senior vice president that you would also meet with. But yeah, I think companies do it a couple of different ways, but I'm positive that you'll definitely meet with another VP probably sooner.
Okay.
And here's also the important thing when you all are interviewing, especially at your level, Lynn. Alex, I know you're going after your very first job. And Tiffany, this applies for you as well. You want to make sure that you are, this is a Cheryl's Pink Couch tip, that you are interviewing the company as much as they are interviewing you. We've gotten so far in our career, we want to make sure that this is a good fit. You're talking about staying someplace for the next 5 or 10 years. And so you want to make sure that the culture is something that is resonating with you, Lynn. And so asking some very pointed questions. So a few tips on interviewing. Number one, make sure you do ask questions. You go in prepared to ask questions, and ask not just the obligatory questions, but ask questions that mean something to you. Can you describe what the culture is like here? For me, I ask about diversity. Like, tell me about the diversity and the environment of diversity. What would an average day look like? How would, and if you're talking to the hiring manager, the person that you're going to be directly working with, how would you measure success from the person you hire for this role? What does success look like for you? Those are all kinds of questions that you all should be asking to make sure that you're in lockstep with the company. Now, your resume, and thank your friend for me for looking it over. Making sure that you highlight some of the key, and again, we talked about this on the last session, transferable skills
Right.
as it relates to your accomplishments, what you've accomplished. And so it's not, I headed up communications for a government entity. It is, I managed 15 employees and oversaw approximately, I don't know, 5 websites, 3 social media platforms, whatever, resulting in 100% awareness within the Midwest, like whatever. Make sure you have accomplishment-based details that you can point to in your interview.
Oversaw the transition of the retirement plan from a defined benefit to a defined contribution, including the introduction of a 457 plan and a 401k for the employees. Yeah, I understand how to do that sort of stuff on my resume.
Which is great, great. So, okay, I think you're ready. Let us know next week how the informational interview went. I'm sorry, the mock interview went. What we're also going to talk about a little bit later is you all's elevator pitch and making sure that you're ready to sell yourselves in an appropriate way. Alex, I'm going to go to you next simply because you and I talked. Thank you, Lynn. Any questions? I'm sorry. Any questions, Lynn?
Thank you.
All right. Alex, I'm going to go to you next because we talked about what I just covered with Lynn about making sure that your resume was accomplishment based. And you and we spent a little bit of time on your resume, and talk to me about that experience that you had with redoing your resume. And was it painful? Because I think it might have been, but you know.
It was pretty painful because I honestly didn't think my resume was that bad. And then when I got it back from you with all the red marks, I was like, oh my goodness, like I had so much room for error and I didn't even know it was the resume I'd been using for years. But then after I did all the revisions to it, it made it seem like it was more cohesive to read and also more comprehensive of all my experience versus before everything was just kind of like short bullet points. You made me elaborate more, which gave it a more idea of like what I'm capable of and what I can do. But yeah, I think after revising it, I felt a lot more confident in my resume and like the jobs that I was applying for. I felt like my resume showed that I was capable enough to do the job. So
good. And let me say, Alex, there was nothing wrong with your resume. I just wanted to make sure that you stood out among your peers and that people could see at a glance what you've already accomplished and what you're capable of. So there wasn't anything wrong with it. It wasn't bad. It was just, I wanted to make you stand out heads and shoulders. Let me introduce everybody to you, Alex. Alex is our newbie. So she graduated from Purdue University in 2021. They got a BS in animal sciences and is seeking their first professional role. Their pink elephant goal is seeking an entry-level role working with animals in the pet or veterinarian industry, have we decided on the salary amount yet, Alex?
I think we were set with like 35,000 just because I was looking at more receptionist jobs right out the gate.
All right. So making at least $30,000 to get her foot in the door. Alex's homework assignment for episode 3 was to connect with Cheryl on LinkedIn. That's me, y'all. Or any other Purdue graduates or alumni, and with those in the same field of animal sciences, and to send a message stating that you are new to LinkedIn and looking to make connections, and that I would also make some connections for you. So you and we did connect. I have actually gone on to LinkedIn and identified some folks that I can connect you to, and I will do that this week. I wasn't able to do it until we actually connected. So you can look for, I don't know if you're familiar with LinkedIn and how it works, but on what you all call DM on the IG, LinkedIn's DM, direct message, that's where you'll find, I'll be able to make some connections for you in that direct message.
Okay.
Okay. And then any updates that you have that you want to share about where you are in the process?
Not really. I'm still, looking at various places around me, just perusing what's available and out there. I think I'm going to make some more calls to set up some more informational interviews. I think that'd be beneficial. But yeah, that's about all I got.
All right. And let's make sure that we are asking each person we talk to, ladies, everybody you talk to, ask them if they can refer you to 2 or 3 other people to talk to. And Lynn said, not everybody gave her names, but some people did. And some people were even willing to make that connection directly, an email introduction. So if you don't ask, you don't get. That's a Cheryl's Pink Couch tip too. If you don't ask, you don't get. All righty, Alex, thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
All right, we have Tiffany, the rising star. The rising star is working at the same company and looking to advance or get a promotion within the company, or is open to external growth opportunities. Tiffany is our rising star for this year, has HR professional experience specializing in operations and diversity, 15 years of work experience. The last 3 years she's spent working for a luxury retail brand. So Tiffany's Pink Elephant goal is seeking a promotion to talent acquisition manager with emphasis on diversity and inclusion for a luxury retail brand, alcohol and spirits and/or sports entertainment industry in New York, earning $125,000 salary as a minimum. So Tiffany's homework assignment for the last time was to be prepared to give an update about your informational interviews and share the prep questions that you asked the interviewer. Take it away, Tiffany.
So I was able to meet with a couple of talent acquisition managers who specialize in diversity. The main question that I had for them was, did they think that it was a good idea for me to go specifically into diversity work, or was it better to do talent acquisition work? And one of the people that I spoke to who does work as a talent acquisition manager for a luxury brand recommended that I focus on talent acquisition. So I've been doing that in searching for organizations. And the person was telling me that many companies don't have a large budget for diversity work, but they have an incredible budget for talent acquisition. And that I would constantly be doing diversity work as a talent acquisition manager or recruiter. And so I've been kind of focusing my search on finding a role as a talent acquisition manager.
Great. Okay. Have you had any interviews yet?
I haven't had any interviews. No, not yet.
How many? I'm sorry, go on.
I do have one company that I'm talking to that someone referred me to, and I think that I'll probably interview with them soon.
Great. Wonderful. How many positions have you actually applied for?
I've applied for about 10 different positions, really focusing, trying to narrow that focus and just apply for the industries that I am specifically interested in.
So Tiffany had, as one of her first homework assignments, she had the assignment of making sure that she gave us a list of at least 10, I think you gave me much more than 10, many more than 10 companies, luxury brand companies that she would like to work for. All of the ladies who are looking for work with a company has drawn up a list. And so the name of the company that you have an interview with, is it on your list?
No, it's not on my list, but it is a luxury brand also.
Okay.
And there were a lot of luxury brands that I really didn't even consider. And so now I'm starting to revisit that list. Also, I think you mentioned it in one of our sessions about creating a spreadsheet for when we're applying for jobs. So that's what I've been working on. So I'm adding companies, and then there are also some companies that I'm looking at further, and I'm like, oh, do I really want to work there? I'm not sure. So I've really been managing my spreadsheet in that way. And then the other thing, similarly to the spreadsheet thing, and you haven't discussed it on this season of the Pink Couch, but I watched the other seasons, and I remember I think it was season 2 that you mentioned about having different resumes.
Yes.
And I think it was to the newbie that you were talking. And so that's another thing that I've been doing also. So I've been recreating my resume, one resume to highlight my diversity work, and then one resume to like really highlight my talent acquisition kind of work. And maybe you could speak to that a little bit more. I guess I'm mentioning something that people
I'm
might
glad
not
you
be
brought
aware
it
of.
up. No, I'm glad you brought it up. It is one of the suggestions that we have is you think often that you only have to have one resume. And in reality, because you are going after similar roles, but with different emphasis, like you're going after an HR role, but you really want to have a diversity and inclusion emphasis. Lynn, you're going after a role in HR, but you really also want to either be with a cannabis company or I think it's healthcare, right?
Right.
Right. So if you're going after a healthcare company, then you may want to emphasize healthcare and downplay any cannabis experience that you do or don't have. Whereas if you're going after a cannabis role, then anything that has to do with that you may want to highlight and bring up, which is why I also think one of your suggestions from your friend who reviewed the resume was to make sure that you had a transferable skills section, like and did it, instead of doing it chronologically, do it according to skill sets. So those types of things, Tiffany, do indeed help you so that you're not constantly redoing your resume for every single job you go after. So it's good to keep that in mind. Alex, that's something that's good for you to keep in mind as well, because if you're going after a role at a pet company or a pet store versus a veterinarian versus, an organization that services pets, those are all things that you can keep in mind. And that's why it's important to perhaps have not just one, but 2 or maybe sometimes 3 resumes. It's a pain in the butt, y'all. I'm not going to lie, but it's worth it in the end. It is. So good point on raising that up, Tiffany. So I really think what I'm going to ask each of you all to do, and I know we haven't gotten to you yet, Kristen, but I'm going to ask each of you to set up an appointment with me so I can do a mock interview with each of you. We're going to emphasize how you do your elevator pitch. So we'll walk through that as well, so that you're walking into these rooms full of confidence. And Kristen, even with you, like selling, want to make sure that you're walking into it with confidence. So Tiffany, thank you very much. Is there anything else that we need to talk about for you today?
No, I think that's it. Those are all the updates I have for today.
All right, wonderful. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Next, we have our Career 2.0 star. The Career 2.0 star is looking to perform in a totally new role or change of industry. And Kristen is our 2.0 star. Kristen has been a professional makeup artist for 14 years. She specializes in television, commercials, print advertising, and corporate media. And she's worked with celebrities, major brands, and corporations. So Kristen's Pink Elephant goal is to establish a photography branding business that earns $60,000 in revenue in year one. But I think we're changing that, right, Kristen? Are we still $60,000 revenue in 1 year? What are we changing it to?
That was still, I guess, something I wanted to talk to you about. I know we didn't have time last time. You kind of raised your eyebrow when I tried to slide that in there. Just because I just didn't want to necessarily focus on the income part is not what's important to me. It's a matter of getting established. And I kind of wanted to, the number that was causing me a little anxiety. I think.
So why does the $60,000 cause you anxiety? I've seen your work, girl. It's good. It's really good.
Thank you.
So why does that cause you anxiety?
I'm not sure. I think it's because if I don't hit that number, then I know how I am, and it'll feel like I failed. And then that will be detrimental in terms of me moving forward. Like that's just, it's something I need to kind of work on. Like you said, what is your definition of success? What is your definition of failure? And I know that that's not really the case, but with me struggling with just the whole imposter syndrome and fear and everything, I just didn't want anything. I'm trying to eliminate things that would not cause unnecessary anxiety, I guess.
Okay. All right. So I understand that. And I understand that when we place a number out there in the universe, it's very scary, right? So sometimes what we do especially as women, sometimes what we do is we downplay how much we think we can earn because we just want to be safe. But what I have found is when you put things out into the universe starts trying to find a way to make it happen. And it may not happen 100%, but generally what happens is that you get closer to making the amount that you're aspiring to than making a lesser amount if you had no aspiration, if that makes sense. Like, you may be trying to go after $60,000 and maybe you hit the $50,000 mark. But if you hadn't set a $60,000 goal, you may have hit a $20,000 goal, a $20,000 mark. So sometimes putting it out there helps you, but I'm not here to cause anybody any anxiety. Everybody has to do what you feel is something that you can realistically achieve. And so my saying to you that you can do $60,000 in a year in photography may not be the case. You have to know that.
I mean, I had the opportunity to kind of do the informational interviews and talk to the photographers about how they establish their rates and packages. And I was given some, kind of advice on how to go about that. And somebody actually pointed me in the direction of an actual pricing calculator that we were able to look at, the cost of running business and this, that, and the other. And so I'm getting much closer to finalizing my rates and packages. But what I'm looking at now, we'd be looking at, in order to achieve $60,000 a year, that would only be about 4 clients a month. So it is feasible. It's totally feasible. It's just something about, but I agree with you 100%. And I'm definitely a big proponent of, believer of manifestation and putting it out there. And it's like, as I, just a couple minutes ago was trying to explain this to you, as it's the words are coming out of my mouth, I'm like, that's just your fear talking again.
Fear. It's
so
fear.
I acknowledge that.
But, leaning into the fear and recognizing it is okay too. I wouldn't let it stop you, but it sounds like you're getting some great advice because did you have a follow-up conversation with Carl Ankrum, the coach that we had connected you with? Tell me about the follow-up conversation with Carl.
So we did have a chance to speak briefly, and the conversation more so was just so him to get a better understanding of what it is that I'm looking to do, my background, and my experience level, so he kind of knows exactly how he can be of service, be of help to me. So we are looking to connect next week. He said he has a few studio sessions lined up. So he said today he will get over some dates to me so that hopefully we can connect next week.
Great, great. So I know we caught you off guard, and we're going to catch all of you off guard when it's time for you to be coached. I'm just telling you that now. You don't know when it's going to come, because you don't know when you're going to get on the elevator and run right into the CEO of a company that you've been dying to work for. You don't know. So I want to make sure that you all are prepared. That's why I don't tell you that you're going to be coached. I let you figure that out when I introduce the coach. But that being said, how you each present yourself to alleviate some of that fear that we're talking about. Having your elevator pitch ready is really an important thing to do. So an elevator pitch, for those of you who are not familiar with the term, is a 1 minute to 3 minute introduction about yourself that you share with anybody that you meet. The beauty of a really good elevator pitch is making sure that even your grandmother could. Now, why is my son sending me a text message when he knows I am doing this show right now? I don't know. Anyway, what was I saying? I'm sorry, y'all. Okay. The elevator pitch is to make sure that you can introduce yourself confidently to anyone that you run into in a way that tells them who you are and what you do very succinctly. So on LinkedIn, is everybody on LinkedIn? All right. LinkedIn Learning, has everybody heard of LinkedIn Learning? All right. So LinkedIn Learning it's free on LinkedIn. There are courses that you can take on LinkedIn Learning for free. I'm going to repeat that. LinkedIn Learning has courses that you can take for free on LinkedIn Learning. And one of the best video explanations, lessons on elevator pitches that I've seen is on LinkedIn. And so you're going to type in elevator pitch. And I'm going to put in authentic because that's the one that I like. All right. So delivering, okay, wait. Delivering an authentic elevator pitch is the name of the video that I want you to watch. It is only like 38 minutes long. The person's name, the instructor's name, is Tatiana Kolovu. Let me spell that for you all. It's T as in Tom, A, T as in Tom, I, A, N as in Nancy, A, Kolovu, K-O-L-O, V as in Victor, O-U. And I like her elevator pitch because it emphasizes how you tell your story in a way that is authentic to you as part of your overall story. So one of the things that she emphasizes is how you tell the story about who you are authentically and how that has shaped you into the professional that you are. So I tell the story all the time about how when I was in high school, I was always in the principal's office. Not because I was in trouble, but because I was organizing events. And I had to get the principal on the agenda to give comments or make remarks. And I was in there so much that his secretary said to me one day, you would be really great at PR. I was in 11th or 12th grade. I didn't know what PR was. I looked it up in the encyclopedia because we didn't have social media and we didn't have the internet, the WWW worldwide internet at that time. So and I'm aging myself. And so I looked up and I was like, wow, okay, I like this PR thing. And I majored in public relations. Majored in public relations, and every job that I've done basically since then has been rooted in the foundation of PR, including what I'm doing now, which is delivering services to women who are looking to advance to their next level in life, at work, in love, and at home. Is there anything I can help you with? That's my elevator pitch. You took a story, talked about how it shaped your career and what you've been doing, what you're doing now, and ask if there's anything that you can help someone with. So when Alex the newbie introduced themselves on the first show, one of the things they said was that they used to show sheep. I love that story, because how many of us used to show sheep? But it's right up there with their desire to major in animal services. It's up there with their passion. It's organic. It is authentic. That's what we want to hear about you. And that's why I want you all to look at that particular video and take notes and come back next week or next session with your elevator pitch. Okay, questions about your elevator pitch?
I talk about who I am and why I love what I do.
Okay, good. So you are already halfway there, Lynn. Who else? How else are you all introducing yourselves?
The same. Who I am, what I do, why I love what I do.
Why do you love what you do?
Say it again.
Why do you love what you do?
Because I love people and I love to connect people to their next great thing. And then also, I also discuss, or I also share that I want to help the person in whatever they're doing next. So like if I meet a CEO, I'm telling him, yeah, I want to be a part of your team that takes your diversity practices to the next level.
Great. And why do you care about diversity?
Because I believe that equity allows for a more robust workforce, and that allows for more productivity, and that allows for a bigger bottom line, which makes everyone happy.
All right, wonderful. Very good. What do you say, Kristen, when you're getting new or going after new people to take photos of? Why are you interested in being a photographer?
I just pretty much explained that I work with small business owners and entrepreneurs, helping them show up and stand out online in terms of their online presence and branding. Yeah, obviously I need to work on that.
And why is that a passion for you?
It is a passion for me because I like to help. And this is an opportunity. I like to help women really just, show up and stand out and be bold. And it's something that, I've struggled with. And it's, something that I know a lot of us struggle with. And so yeah, that's my way of, I guess, helping.
So I love that when you said it's something that I've struggled with. So usually when you have a passion for something, it's because either you've overcome or you've experienced it and you want to help other people through it. And that resonates. And so people know that you would have a passion for it because you've overcome it or you have embraced it and want to now help other people. Great. Alex?
I'll tweak that in for next session for sure.
Alex, why do you like working with animals?
I've just had a passion for animals since I was young. I think it especially grew into something more when I got my own pets. Like I had sheep growing up, but like we were only there during the summer times. Otherwise, they were at my grandma's house because we couldn't have sheep at my house. But yeah, so just like how important my cat became to me. Like he really was like my emotional support animal. How he just kind of got me through things. And I don't know. I love learning about them. I love being around them. So I just would really like to work with them.
Beautiful. All right. Lynn, why do you want to work for a cannabis company?
Because I have had the misfortune in my life of spending an inordinate amount of time in dealing with the Western medicine facilities. And unfortunately, I think we don't spend enough time seeking out alternative medicine. And I believe that cannabis is a very healthy alternative to some of our many different conditions that could very easily be treated that are now being treated by chemicals.
I love all of your answers. Do you all see how when you're telling a story about why you want to be or do what you want to be or do, how when you tell your story and it relates to it, it sucks us in? Do you all see that? Every single one of us. And I will also share that when you tell a story, people remember the story. They may not remember your name. They may not remember, what your third job right out of college was or what your major was, but they're going to remember the woman who struggled with Western medicine and decided that she wanted to stay focused on alternative methods. They're going to remember the woman who had sheep at, their grandma's house. They're going to remember your stories. And so that's why I want you to practice your elevator pitch. Come prepared next week to give your elevator pitch from 1 minute to 3 minutes. All right, 1 minute to 3 minutes of an elevator pitch about who you are, what you do, why you do it, as you introduce yourself to people. Questions? Nobody has any? Okay.
Did you have an elevator pitch that stood out that you thought was just exceptional, that you used in your career at some point?
Well, I started telling that story about, me and PR and in the principal's office a long time ago, before I knew that that's what an elevator pitch was. And that I've always been drawn to public relations and setting things up and organizing events. And that's always been kind of my thing. And so that I didn't realize that it was an elevator pitch until elevator pitches became a thing. But I've always been interested in telling about why and how I got to where I am.
Nice. Thank you.
So you're welcome. All right, ladies, it's been hey, Kristen.
Sorry,
Yep.
quick question. No, I was just wondering, in my case, I think it's a little different being in the creative sector, but like, is it important to, how important is it to clarify or to, who exactly it is that I'm working with? Like, so I say, hey, I'm a personal branding photographer and I work with female, small business owners and entrepreneurs. How important is that part of?
So identifying your audience is important. Are you, as long as you're not saying that you're going to turn away anyone who's not, like that's who you prefer to work with, but are you going to turn anybody away who doesn't meet that description? Like, would you turn away a guy who was in corporate America?
Right.
Would you?
No, I mean, I've had male, clients I've worked with. So, but
Yeah.
That what I was scared of is kind of, I didn't want to eliminate anybody or.
Yeah, you're not going to eliminate them. You'll just say, with the emphasis on women, small women-owned businesses who want to stand out because blah, blah, blah. So you're not going to eliminate them. That's what I do. And y'all are really good at what you do. So not to be afraid to say that either. And that's why I want to make sure that your elevator pitch positions you from a point of power.
I like.
But I don't think I don't think you're going to scare anybody away.
Okay.
Last question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have 2 pitches, one for cannabis and one for healthcare, because I'm not gonna bag on Western medicine. when I'm
Right.
talking about
You're right. So you're going to need 2. Yes, Lynn, you're going to need 2 elevator pitches. So we'll give you double the time next week.
Okay. I'm just, clarifying, because I wouldn't want to say that, I'm going against Western medicine when I'm talking to a healthcare corporation.
You sure don't. Very, very, very spot on. That's like right on the nose. You don't want to do that. All right, we're right at an hour. So I'm going to let you all go. I'm going to see you next session. Come back with your elevator pitches prepared and let's go for it. Have a great time between
you.
sessions.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Check out the progression of all of our participants at Cheryl's channel of Fabulosity on YouTube, or learn more about the coaching programs and services we offer at IamCherylGrace.com. This has been a Powerful Penny LLC Pink Elephant production.